Hey everybody, welcome back to my modern homestead. My name is Janet, just in case you're new here. And if you are new here, I'm so glad you're joining us. I hope you enjoy your time here. Today, we have a couple things we need to get done. First of all, I have this bowl of sausages. I've got 4 packs of the little breakfast wings. But I also have 2 packs of our mild sausage that's just ground up bulk sausage from our wild hogs that we had processed. So what I'm going to do first is patty up these packs of bulk sausage, and when I do that, I'm going to brown them. I'm not going to try to cook them all the way through, just get them brown on the outside, and then we're going to pack everything into jars. And y'all, I'm sorry, this is a bit of a rebel canning today. I'm not adding broth, and I'm not cooking my breakfast links. So I want to get that done, and if we have time, I want to try to use up some of my cucumbers to make cucumber bread. So let's get started and see what we can get done. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is wet this counter down so that the plastic wrap will stick to it. Now, normally I would not roll out my sausage patties this way if I was just going to cook them fresh. But because we're canning them, I need them to be a certain size to fit into the jars. So I'm rolling out the bulk sausage. Oh my goodness. And we're going to cut it using a wide mouth lid for a jar. That way I will know that they'll fit down inside the jars, which I don't normally make my patties that wide, but we want to be efficient with our use of space. Okay, now just roll it out thinly. Okay. I don't want them super thin, but I don't want them thick either. Just try to get it even. If you don't have a rolling pin, your hand or a cup will do just fine. Alright. Just peel this back. Set it over here. And then we're just going to use the ring to cut the patties. And whatever is left around the edges, we'll just ball back up and roll back out to make another patty. Okay, now we have 7 patties. That's 1 pack. We'll do the same with the wrist. Okay, there we go. Now we need the apron. So now that we have all the patties made, we need to get them browned up in the skillet. Now while these are browning up, I'm going to go ahead and start packing the jars with these links. I'm using wide mouth pints. And with these I'm just going to, let me turn y'all up a little bit. Got my jar and I'm just going to start layering them in there. We're not going to pack tight. Should be able to get most of them, not all of them, because we don't want to pack them tightly. Just like that. I've got all but 2 in that one. I want to keep them loose, so I'm not going to add any more. Need to make sure we've got 3 inches of water in our canner, and I do measure it with my ruler. Here we go. It does not have to be exactly 3 inches, as long as you've got 2.5 to 3 inches of water. Look, y'all. Ooh, oh my goodness, hold on. Let's try this again. Got the napkin there to catch it this time. Doesn't that look good? Yum. And as you can tell, they're not totally done, and that's perfect. That's just the way we want them. While I'm waiting on these to cool off, I went ahead and got a little bowl of vinegar. It's just plain white vinegar and a napkin so that we can use that to wipe off the rims of the jars. Okay, let's start putting these into jars. See, they fit just perfectly. Well, we want to fill them until we get to 1 inch headspace. 3, 4, 5. because these puffed up so much, I can only get 5 in there. So let's do the rest. Okay, I only have enough to put 4 into that one jar. Okay, y'all, let's wipe the rims of our jars because this meat is greasy and you are working with raw meat, so make sure that you're keeping your hands washed. I just washed mine and washed up a few dishes because these sausage patties were still warm. And while I'm doing this, let me make a clarification about the level of water that you put into your canner. Canners are different. They're not all the same. I'm using the All-American 930, and in my instruction manual, it says to use 2.5 inches of water, or 2.5 to 3 inches of water before you put the jars in. So make sure you don't just go by my measurements and what I'm telling you. Use your manual. If you don't have it, you can almost always look it up online. Just look up your canner and you'll find the instruction book, hopefully. It is important to use the right amount of water so that you have the right amount of pressure inside of that canner before you put the weight on. Last jar, and it looks like I only have 8 jars, and I don't want to waste the room in my canner, so I am going to go ahead and jar up some dried beans. Some of them I have partially soaked because I thought I was going to do this video yesterday, and I soaked them for a little while and the garden was calling, so I had to put a whoa on it. So I just drained them and put them in the refrigerator. So I'm going to use those, and I might have to pull out some more beans. We'll see. I guess I should go ahead and finish what I'm doing, huh? Let me put a lid on these. Then I like to use a towel or an oven mitt or something up under them so that when I'm turning, see that jar, once it starts turning, that lid is finger tight. That's as tight as you need to go. And many people will say, well, that's not tight. It's going to leak or this and that. No, not usually. You need that space so that air inside the jar can escape and your lids don't buckle during the canning process. Okay, there's our last jar of sausage. Let's do the beans. Okay, I'm going to start with these beans. These are the ones I partially soaked. I'm going to add just a hair more than a 1/2 cup, not much. I would say maybe a rounded 1/2 cup. I'll just divide these up between all these jars. Okay, into each jar I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now that is table salt, but it's non-iodized. Then fill the jar with water to 1-inch headspace. Wipe the rim just like we did for our other jars. A flat lid. And a ring. You might ask, why did I use bottled water? That's because I have really hard water here at our house, and I just feel better using the bottled water. I'm just going to add salt to the rest of the jars and water to the rest of the jars and seal them up. Now while I'm thinking about this, I don't know what I was thinking about, never mind. Oh, I know what it was. Oh my goodness. The salt. If you do not want salt in your beans, that is perfectly okay. The only reason it is there is simply for taste. So if you prefer not to have it, you go right ahead and leave it out. It'll be just fine. One more note. You notice this is a cur jar and a ball lid. If you're new to canning, you might not know. So, for my new canners out there, you do not have to use the same brand of lids and rings as you do jars. They are interchangeable. Y'all, I'm so distracted. My kids are talking to my husband. My husband's wandering through the house. He just cut the cord to the hedge trimmers, and I'm all out of sorts. Y'all see what I'm doing? If you're new to canning, old to canning, please know that these jars will not do right if you don't add your water. Oh my goodness. Heaven help me. We're going to get this done. We're going to survive. It's going to be all right. And no, I'm not debubbling these because as the water's going in, these beans are moving and they're not staying stuck to the bottom, so I'm not worried about air pockets with these. Now, if the ingredients in the bottom don't move, not good ingredients, but ingredients don't move, then yeah, you do want to debubble. Let's try this again. See, I did have all my lids matched up. I'm not even worried about it. Let's just go with it. See, you can enjoy your family and listen to what's going on and can at the same time. If you make a mistake, just fix it. All right, let's put these in a canner. The first thing I'm going to do is pour this vinegar that I had left down into the canner so that my jars don't get a film on them in this hot, hard water. So I thought I was going to be able to keep this short enough to include the cucumber bread, but I'm not. So I am going to do it, but I'll do it on a separate video, so y'all watch. It should be the very next video to come out. Let's put the lid on and make sure it's even around the edges. Close up the locks on either side gently all the way around. You don't want to lock down one side before the other because it can cause your lid to be uneven once you get all the way around. All right, everything still looks good. Okay, now can lock it down. And then we're going to turn on the burner, put it on high, and we're going to let it vent for 10 minutes.
Don't forget what I tell you in so many of the videos I do for canning. You have a lot of time while you're waiting on all the different steps for the canner. You can get so much done in that waiting time. Remember, don't waste the waiting. While I was waiting for the canner to actually get hot enough to vent, I got the dishes washed, I cleaned the stove, and I steamed the floor. So you guys, time is precious. Don't waste it.
really see it, but you can feel it. So let's set the timer for 10 minutes. Okay, the timer is just about to go off. And when it does, we're going to put there it is, the weight on for 10 pounds of pressure where I live. And then we'll let it come up to pressure and set the timer for 75 minutes. Okay, let's set the timer for 75 minutes, which is an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, now all we have to do is wait for the pressure to come down to 0, and when the needle is sitting on this metal peg, we will know it's at 0 pounds of pressure. Alrighty, friends, we are at 0 pressure. Let's check. Hi, Jake. Make sure the weight's ready. There we go. Now, I do not take the lid off. In fact, when this comes down to 0 pressure, I do not even take the weight off immediately. I usually give it 5 to 10 minutes, and then I listen as I'm about to pull the weight off. If I hear a lot of noise, I wait another 10 minutes. But anyway, at this point, we're going to give it about 10 minutes, and then we'll loosen up the lid and let it vent for about 10 minutes before we actually take it off. Okay, now I have the canner open and I have the lid propped open with some oven mitts. We'll leave it like this for another 10 minutes. Okay, I've taken off the lid, and it's time to take out the jars. There we go, you all. We have all of our sausage and our beans done. Now it's time to relax. Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. You know I love it when you come and spend a few minutes with me. So until we meet again, may you be blessed. Love you guys.